I'm going to talk to you today about the Mass and try to make it clear to you if I can. I'm sure there are some young people here in this church who have said, "Oh, I don't want to go to Mass. I don't want to go to church. I don't get anything out of it." Do you know the reason why? Because you don't bring anything to it. Now, some of you boys, for example, I am sure have mothers who are not the least bit interested in football. You say, "Come, Mom, look at this game. It's wonderful." She gets nothing out of it. Why? Because she doesn't bring any knowledge of football to it. Think of how many people would not go to an opera. They would find it boring. That's because they bring no knowledge of music to it. Just suppose that you were suddenly put down in Athens on the hill of the Areopagus. Would you understand it? Would you think, "Oh, this is where Socrates defended himself, and this is where St. Paul gave that great discourse to the senators of Athens"? You'd have to bring something to Greece in order to understand it. And so certainly you get nothing out of it because you've made no sacrifice, no effort to understand what the Mass is. Very simply, what the Mass is reaching to Calvary and laying hold with your hands of the cross of Christ, with Christ on it, and you plant it down here, today. Whenever a Mass is celebrated, we take the cross and we plant it down in Nairobi, we plant it down in Tokyo, we plant it in New York, we plant it in this city. That's what the Mass is, the continuation of Calvary. And in order to take a part in it, you have to bring little crosses. Our blessed Lord said, "Take up your cross daily and follow me." Everyone has a cross. For example, you young students, you've got the cross of spelling, of mathematics, and of obedience. And Mother says, "Do the dishes." That's a little cross. And the older people have different kind of crosses. And we bring all of our crosses here, and we plant them down alongside of that great cross of Christ. And we mass them all together under Him. That is the Mass. It has 3 acts. It's like a great drama. Just suppose that 4 or 5 centuries before Christ there was a great drama, because that was the great age of drama. A drama presented that moved hearts, purged souls, which a wise old Greek said was the purpose of drama anyway. But it was played only once. And if you were at that theater and your soul was bettered because you witnessed the drama, you would say, "What a pity. Everyone in the world should see this." How could that be done? Well, it could be done by establishing road companies. New actors, same lines, same drama, but appearing on the different stages of the world. Apply this now to the death of our Lord. This drama was played once. But the night of the Last Supper, our blessed Lord said, "I am going to prepare this drama so that it will be enacted all over the world, and hearts will be purified and souls purged. So he established road companies. As he said to his apostles and his priests, do this, repeat it. Same lines, same purpose, only the stages are different. We will now follow the 3 acts of the drama. In the first act, you offer yourself to Christ. Act 1. Act 2, you die. You die with him. Act 3, because you died with him, now you get new life. Act 1, where you offer yourself as the offertory. Act 2, your death with Christ, the consecration. And thirdly, rising to a new life as Holy Communion. Now follow me through these 3 acts. Act 1, you offer yourself. You bring yourself to Christ and say, I want to be one with you in your great act of redemption. When a Mass begins, the Lord looks out from heaven and he says, I can't die again in this nature I took from Mary. This nature is glorified. But Peter, Paul, Mary, Ann, will you give me your human nature? Offer yourself to me, and I will die again in you, and let you pass through the same stages of life as I passed through. Now, how do you offer yourself to the Lord? Not just by being present. Not just that. But by using symbols of bread and wine. So when the bread and wine is brought to the altar, you are brought to the altar. Why did our Lord say, bring bread and wine? Well, first of all, because no 2 substances better signify unity than bread and wine. As bread is made from a multiplicity of grains of wheat, and wine from a multiplicity of grapes, so we who are many are one in mind and heart with Christ. Then furthermore, when we bring bread and wine, the substances which have most traditionally nourished mankind, when we bring that which gives us life, we're bringing ourselves. And then we're also bringing part of creation. We're taking some elements out of creation, namely bread and wine, and we're saying to God, these are going to be wholly yours. And someday there will be a new heaven and a new earth. Everything in creation will be totally subject to you. But this is the first fruit of total giving of creation to Christ. So in the offertory, therefore, you become present on the altar. You are on the paten, you are in the chalice, under the form of bread and wine. That is your symbol. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons the collection is taken up at the offertory is to be a symbol of your self-sacrifice. It buys the bread and wine, helps the sacrifice. You see, if I were pleading for a collection, that's the idea that I would develop. But I'm not. But I merely want to indicate to you now that you're on the altar. That's the end of Act 1. Now we come to Act 2. You die. You are crucified. We cannot live to Christ unless we die to our lower nature.